Welcome to In Sequence, a comics podcast for everyone. I'm Jillian, and today we have the following panelists.
Hey, I'm Matt.
And I'm Scout.
Today, we will be discussing the graphic novel The Arrival by Shaun Tan. The Arrival is written and illustrated by Shaun Tan and published by Arthur A. Levine Books, which is an imprint of Scholastic. Shaun Tan is an Australian artist, writer, and filmmaker, though self-describes himself as a writer of illustrated books for no particular audience. The Arrival was published in 2006 and has won several awards, including the ALA's Best Books for Young Adults and the Aurealis Award, which is an Australian literary award. Art from The Arrival has been adapted alongside orchestral performances, with the art being projected on screens as they play.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, ooh, that's fun.
I once saw a production that was like an orchestra playing the music from Fantasia while Fantasia was playing.
Oh,
yes. Oh, that rules.
That's what that
I love that kind of
of
stuff.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I want to see that. I'm one of the world's biggest Fantasia freaks. That's the Scout lore drop for today.
Yeah. The Arrival tells the story of a man who immigrates to a new country, leaving his wife and child behind in order to establish a new and better life. Along the way, he struggles with adapting to this new world, but also manages to find that despite feeling out of place, there are many people he can find commonality with. Before we get into the non-spoiler points, before recommending this, did either of you have any experience with this book?
I had never heard of it.
I actually had. I had read it as a teenager. It was a teen book club book in Austin, Texas, when I lived there and went to the book club at my local library there. Also the book club where I was first introduced to Maggie Stiefvater, so shout out to that librarian. And I know that this is also a book that one of my my middle older nephews really, really likes and has like talked to my mom about. He's like, Grandma, let me tell you all about this book, and took her on FaceTime like page by page through the book one time.
That's so cute.
That's adorable.
So I love that also speaks very much to what Shaun Tan said about being for no particular audience too, because that's already showing a broad sort of age range and demographic for audience.
Yeah. I mentioned this before we started recording, but I was introduced to this book a little over a decade ago in my comics course that I took in college. So we, read a bunch of different comics, and this was one of the books that we studied. And I always felt it always very much stuck with me, and to the point that when I ended up becoming a teacher, I wasn't able to actually teach it, but I was able to, I did pass it around to the other teachers at the school that I was teaching at. Because I was like, oh, you're into comics. Like, check this one out. Isn't this cool?
It definitely feels like a book that could be taught in a high school.
It could, if only they would let you do that. But that's a conversation for a different podcast.
I mean, I think it would be really good as like in an English class as a critical thinking skill building.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%. Is anyone going to fund that? No. Because we would have to go and buy a bunch of books.
English curriculum in the United States is broken right now, but we can't get into that today.
Exactly.
But every day I am screaming in my brain about it.
That is one of the things that, I really, especially this go around reading it, that's one of the things especially that I really enjoyed about it, is how much this book kind of does, it is deceptively simple looking, but it makes you use your brain quite a bit. Because notably, this is our first graphic novel without words. We went from Triangle Agency, which was mostly words.
Almost all words.
Yeah, and now we are in The Arrival, which is absolutely 0 words. So I want to ask you guys kind of what do we feel is kind of lost or gained by the fact that there is absolutely no text on the page except for untranslatable symbols?
I don't know if I'd call it lost or gained anything. I think that different books have different approaches to storytelling, and I've read a few wordless graphic novels in the past. I'm trying to remember the one that we did for the comic club in TWG, but I don't remember it right now. Maybe I'll share it in further reading if it comes up between now and then. I don't know. I think that this book does really well with the visual storytelling. I think it manages to tell something coherent and sort of let the gaps of understanding either be filled by the reader or be filled later on by the imagery. And I don't know. I think the craft is there to make it work for this particular book. I have, heard critiques of other books. We've given critiques on this show about other books for being too wordy, where they don't need to be, where we might let the images speak for themselves. This very clearly doesn't have that problem. But I don't know. I never had a moment in this book, which frankly I have in books that do have words, where I was like, wait, how did we get from A to B? I don't quite understand how we got from here to there.
Yeah, I think I definitely worded this question incorrectly, because I feel like this book would not benefit from having actual text on the page. But I was, curious curious, what the experience of reading a wordless graphic novel can kind of be like as a whole. But I think with the amount, the sheer amount of pictures here is...
The amount of work this book took.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Even the, inside covers just has 60, distinct images just of people. Just people's faces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is a truly wild amount of work that has gone into all of these drawings.
Yeah. Shaun Tan, from an authorial standpoint here and from an artistic standpoint, put a lot of work into trial and error to find how this would work the best and how much would be too many drawings versus not enough. I don't know if either of you read, but there's an excerpt from an interview with him on the Arrival page on his website that had some interesting sort of behind the scenes stuff in it. And one of those was him talking about the way that working with the storyboarding team and the animators on the adaptation that was being made of one of his other books at the time of working on The Arrival inspired him a lot with looking at storyboards and going okay, this is a kind of sequential storytelling. And it was...
Oh, that's very cool, because a lot of these do feel very storyboard-esque, especially because it is focusing some of these on, this is one tiny piece and we're just showing how that particular location or person changes throughout the scene.
Yes, there's also some really great pages that are breakdowns of singular actions into several images that are very animation and storyboard-like. That I really enjoy. So I think that in limiting himself to not having any words, he had to think in a totally new way for him to make this. And all of the work that he put into that really, really pays off, because I do believe that this is a story that is better for being completely wordless and having you have to really process the images and think about what those mean to you in the context of everything around them to guide you through the story.
Just on a art style note, for those who may have not read it, all of the drawings in this book, all of the art in this book is very reminiscent of old photographs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The shading and the hatching just very, very much feels like you have found those old pictures of your great grandparents, they kept in a box in the attic. Some of them even have little crinkles as if they were photographs taken and stored.
Well, they all look like they're pasted in an album too, right?
Yes.
They're all cut in these squares and rectangles with the lines between them are very clean, but the edges of each of them are slightly different. They're slightly elevated off the page. It looks like something someone put together with their hands.
Yes.
Another touchstone from that excerpt was actually photo albums, looking at family photo albums and being inspired by that as well.
Love that. Additionally, there's color, but it is mostly a singular color that is shaded. So it is very much these are black and white, or they are kind of a sepia tone. And I find the ability to work with kind of limited color palettes is really impressive.
Yeah, these are all done with graphite on something called cartridge paper, which I haven't heard that term before, but they're all graphite drawings. There's there's been some digital editing done, and some of the colorization of the sepia tones, the different sepia tones, are digital, but all of the lines and everything are just graphite, which I think is also that's a really specific and exceptional skill.
Cartridge paper is a really heavy duty paper with like definite texture to it.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like a lot of people use it for like really light watercolors.
I want to call out that a trick that we usually see in manga shows up in this book a few times, which is changing the gutter color to imply a flashback.
Yes.
It's not always black gutters.
Right.
There's a couple people that our main character meets that we get their backstories, and they each kind of have a different take. Like the first time it's these gray gutters, and then all of a sudden the photos are like, they're different, or not the photos, they're drawings, but they're meant to look like photos. They're on a different kind of paper or film. And you can see the edges, the sort of white edges, and there's these gray gutters. And then the next time you see it, you get gray, almost black gutters that get darker as the story goes on. And frankly, as that flashback gets emotionally darker. But the images are still sort of in the style of the rest of the book. They don't look like actual pieces of paper necessarily. They still have that collage thing, but they don't have like these like white borders around them.
Yeah, the darkness of the gutter kind of like smooths out the borders and makes them more linear. And then the final time is like very, very collage based. It is like, this is paper that you are looking at for the gutters. It is very textural.
Yeah, I really like that each of them, this happens 3 times, and for each one, the gutter change feels specific to the character who is telling their story, their own story of like the reason for their migration and the history behind those choices, which helps. It just continues to show the intention behind all of the choices being made visually with this book.
Feels weird saying let's get into spoilers, because it is very like, it is a very short, I mean, it's 100 and so pages, but like there is a plot, but it does feel weird to say like, let's get into spoilers. But I think since we kind of mentioned the different stories, it's probably safe to say we're going to get into spoilers here.
Yeah, right before we do, I'll say you can read this in half an hour.
Oh,
yeah, this was a half-hour read.
Yeah.
Even for me, and I'm probably the slowest reader on the podcast.
But yeah, so spoiler-wise, one of the things that I really loved in this book is kind of the parallel between the first and last chapters. The first page of both of those chapters has a little 9-square collage of different items. And in the first chapter, it is all the stuff from their home. It is an origami bird, a clock, their hat, things from their house, the photo of the family, and that is reflected in the end of the book, the first page of the last chapter, where it is the same items, but reflective of this new home that they are in.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a different origami creature, a clock, but in the style of the clocks that are here. There is like a slight difference in the clothing that is hung up. And I just always really enjoyed that parallel. And the last two in the first chapter, the last 2 images are the suitcase that he's packing and the photo of the family. But in the final chapter, they're kind of swapped a little bit, where the penultimate image is a photo of the family, and the final image is him handing his daughter a coin, kind of reflecting like that they've kind of made a place they are not leaving. And I just thought it was a really nice way of using the imagery in this book to convey the theme of the theme and the story. I feel like that is like, to me, the like key bit of being able to use images to kind of essentially tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
I love that the origami is the little guy.
The little guy.
The creature.
I'm so charmed by the creature.
I love the creature.
Shaun Tan does a lot of like creatures.
Yeah, Shaun Tan, very good creature guy.
Very good at making creatures.
He's like a cross between like a mouse, a lizard, and a dog.
Yeah, he's just got the big ass mouth.
Biggest mouth you ever seen. Little legs, little stick legs. Gills. Seems to have gills. Land shark-esque almost.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, yeah. Oh, he has an entire book just of his creature drawings.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I love the creature. And I love, I like that this is not so clearly set in a real world place.
Yes. Yeah, it's inspired by specific eras and settings where there have historically been large immigrant populations moving through a place for the first time. But it is very purposefully using a fantastical setting to frame a universal feeling experience versus something more specific, right? It's dealing with specific things, but in a context that you can't place it exactly, and so it becomes more universal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's very, very clear, and even he says in the notes, right? That he was taking inspiration from Ellis Island, and the imagery is extremely there in the beginning of this book, to the point that I was I actually if this is so on the nose, I don't if it's just straight up historical fiction, I don't know if I would be into it. I don't know. I like what he does with it to take that inspiration, which is obviously going to be there and be something that readers are thinking about, but then make it fantastical as a way to explore the humanity behind the things he's trying to, take a look at. I don't know, taking a step outside of the real world is often a better way to reflect on the real world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
One of the things I really like is the way that the end papers, you open the book, you look at the end papers, and immediately it feels like you are already being thrown into these themes, the themes of immigration, the themes of diversity in a population, the connections that you can make. I feel like I get a lot of that just from looking at these, which might be actually portrait, referenced from actual portraits, maybe from Ellis Island or just other historical portraits.
I believe that is one of the things that he cites as, he says several drawings of immigrant processing passport pictures in the arrival hall are based on photographs taken at Ellis Island, which can be found in the collection of the Ellis Island Immigration Museum. So I definitely think a lot of those are probably taken from those photograph collections.
So I really like that we have something that sort of immediately is recognizable in a particular way and is grounded in a particular way. And then we get into the story and we find the ways in which that very grounding introduction on the end pages is brought into a more abstract and fantastic environment. And I like that a lot.
We talked earlier about, the lack of language being really handy in this book. And I think what it really helps to do is kind of make the reader feel that sort of kinship with the protagonist. He can't understand the language. You can't understand the language. You are in the same position as he is, trying to understand what is going on in the world around him without being able to translate it at all.
Yeah, that first job he gets where he's pasting up posters.
Upside down. Oh,
the agony.
Which is so, as from a understanding people who have particular languages as their second language, there is always that kind of thing that doesn't always translate well between the way different languages are set up. And I think that was a really clever way of doing it. Kind of thinking yes, this is the right way up for these letters.
Yeah, it's also really, it adds so much to the overwhelming sort of sensory feeling of a lot of these really big, hyper detailed environment drawings of the city that he lands in, and just really does add to the feeling of isolation from one's surroundings, not literally, but just feeling apart from them in some way. And that feeling that a new place can be so overwhelming when you are somewhere unfamiliar. It's whoa. There's a lot that I'm trying to take in right now. I'm really curious to know if there's any particular scenes or visuals that really hit you guys hardest. Like what sticks with you the most out of this whole thing, if there's anything particular?
There is a single panel. It is on page, or at least the version I'm reading, it's on page 74. It is, he meets the man and his son and goes back to their house and like has dinner with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the boy's mother is just like laughing, like with a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That particular panel is like, it stuck out to me in the moment. And it is probably the thing I will remember most, like months from now after reading this book.
It's such a candid shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's expressive, but it's also like the emotional catharsis that you've been sort of seeking for this character since the beginning of the book. Like you start in this very oppressive environment, right? With like the tails and tentacles in their home, that are lording over them. And then he's begun to get his feet under him in this new place. But this feels like the first time he gets to relax. Mm-hmm. And specifically her sense of like, this is her home and we've seen her backstory of having moved to this place. It's almost like a prediction of like what could be for him in the future. It just kind of like, it was like the exhale for me reading this book.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great one to call out.
Yeah. I think one of the ones, obviously, I really like the parallels, and there's a lot of like really, the hands in this book are incredibly drawn. First of all, there's a lot of really good just close-ups of hands doing work. But I think one of the ones that always sticks out to me is the sequence of 12 panels on like page 28 early on when he is at the immigration processing and he is so clearly like having a conversation with someone off screen.
Yes, his interview. Yeah,
trying to like communicate with them, and every panel, or almost every panel, he's got a new little patch stuck onto his jacket. It's so expressive. You can't understand obviously what he is saying, what the other person is saying, but you can like really feel the frustration and what he is trying to tell them. There's the beginning where he's like listening and he's scratching his head like he's trying so hard to understand. Mm-hmm. And I just found that particular collection of images really, really striking. I really enjoyed those in particular. But I think the one that like this time around is gonna stick with me the most is towards the end of the old man that he meets at the factory. Tells him the story of like he was in the war and he had to leave. There's this incredibly different stylistically from anything else in this book. Mm-hmm. It is this full page of a battlefield with just a bunch of skulls and corpses and dirt. And it is so different from anything else that is in this book. Far more like macabre as compared to all these like crazy fantastical images of the city, that I think this time around, like that is the image that like sticks out to me the most.
I also really like the one on the facing page to that one with the soldiers running into what looks to be like a fog or a smoke or something like that. And it also has a very different stylistic feel. It is softer around the edges. It is more it's less detailed in a way that really hits for me. Kind of going back to Matt talking about the way that the one panel of the laughing woman is so candid, I was really curious reading this because I could tell that these look like drawings that are specifically referenced off of photographs or maybe footage that he took. Because they're very consistent and look as though they are sort of screenshots, or not screenshots because screens like that is newer, but individual frames in particular ways. So I looked into that a little bit, and I believe that all of the, or at least most of the model work that he took photos for this were friends of his, which I think is just really adds something there as well, because it feels like that scene could have been him just saying like, let's just have some fun, and really gets to that genuine feeling. And my favorite, or the thing that really stuck with me from this reading is also with the sort of the grocer's family, because he's buying groceries from this man and his son, and then they invite him over for dinner because they realize that he's new, and they tell him. The grocer, he tells his story. In the grocer's world, in the place that the grocer came from, everything is being sucked up into these like furnaces on the backs of giants. It's very much like you're putting your own thoughts into what exactly this means. Very surreal.
It's wild looking.
It is. This one, when I first read this as a teenager, this page like left me deeply unsettled, and I think it still does, not quite as much, but as a teen it was one of those things where I was like, ugh, I keep thinking about that page, this is scary. And he and his wife hide, and sort of this event passes, and they come out, and all that's left is this featureless graveyard of cubes. Like all of the individuality and the human touch of the place that they lived has been sucked away. And that really hit me, especially on this read.
Yeah, it's a really good set of images.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to take this to less serious of a direction, but are either of you Doctor Who people?
I used to be.
Because
I never have been.
That image reminded me a lot of season 1 of the 2005 revival, The Empty Child.
Oh, yeah.
Are you my mummy?
Yeah, no, I 100% see that.
Yeah.
They got cubes in Doctor Who?
No, they got the gas masks going on.
Oh, they got the spooky guys.
They got the spooky guys in the gas masks.
Mm-hmm. And then this image of this completely featureless world is even more impactful to me once you see their house and all of these weird things that they show. They have these very specific instruments. They give him a little pot. Their house is very full of items and of personality in a way that like the place that they came from became completely devoid of that. And I really like that. As far as it evoking particular emotions, really hit me.
Yeah.
I also just want to mention the final page of this book. I really love one of the things that we studied in that class that I became very aware of and had kind of forgotten about being aware of until rereading this is the way that actions in a panel can kind of like draw you to a different place, like put you somewhere else on the page and kind of intersect with that. So the last page of this book is the man's daughter with a young woman who is also brand new to the city. And we have the daughter kind of pointing off screen and pointing to kind of a blank page. And I just really like kind of a lot of the build up to this image and kind of what it sort of leaves the reader with. And I was curious if you guys had any strong feelings or thoughts on that particular final image either.
Mostly what it did for me was remind me of another book, which is a very different book, like extremely different, but does a similar thing with its final pages. That series is The Wicked and Divine. I won't really get into why that is in The Wicked and Divine, because I think it spoils that series real good. Maybe we'll read it someday. But for me, sorry.
I said I have it. I bought it in that Humble Bundle.
It's so good. But for me, I think the thing that I take from that moment where she's sort of pointing to the empty page is, well, let's talk about the page before it. The page before it is her meeting this person, and that person is obviously newer than her to this place, and she is helping them, which is the first time, maybe with the exception of this man's like family arriving and him helping them. It's almost the first time that this family is put in the position of having more knowledge, having more understanding than other people in this place. And the sort of pointing to an empty page to me is almost a like, so what now? And an understanding that like the act of moving or arrival is a transitionary moment and you cannot predict what comes after. Like there is an idea of a dream that you have before you make that kind of move, before you arrive in a new place. And this is true of time and everything all the time, but especially like you put all this weight on it and then like you actually cannot predict what's going to happen next. Mm-hmm. That's what I took away from it. I wonder why I have those feelings at this moment.
Yeah, I wonder why. I was going to say, certainly you're not speaking from experience right now.
I think I got something different but similar from it, which was at first, until I noticed that you had pointed this out in your notes, Jill, I must confess my own ignorance. I hadn't thought about the blank page at all. I had been more captured and captivated by the way that it speaks to how you can become for other people the person that you needed in a particular moment, and the way that we can continue to make our surroundings better through care, and the way that like this man was cared for by residents who had been through something similar, and now he and his family can do the same thing for other people who are going through what they had already gone through. And then once I did think about the blank page, I think I got very just like, this is a blank page is full of possibility, and a blank page is full of potential. So it read to me very much like, and this is, now there's so many other things that you could think of, that so many more adventures or things that could happen to them. So very similar kind of to what you were saying, Matt, but less from it's there's so much that could happen, and more like, oh, there's so much that could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I kind of felt very similarly. Part of what it also kind of read to me is like, this is, it is a blank page at the end of a book, but it is kind of cyclical. Like, there is room for more story, but there is, this story will happen over and over again, is kind of how it very much felt too, because there's kind of that implication of like, you're going to go forward, and like, this is going to be your mission from now on. So it is, it's kind of very much where both of you were as well. I just really like the pointing to an empty page to end a book. I think that's a really clever way of doing things.
At the very least, Jill, you and me got to read The Wicked and the Divine.
Yeah. Got it, boss. Goat, you had a note about creatures?
Yeah. What, if anything, does the inclusion of everyone having a creature in this new place mean to you? So for context, if you haven't looked at the book, dear listeners, when our protagonist makes it to his destination and sort of gets a room in a boarding house, he discovers in his room a weird little guy, a little tiny freak, the creature we were describing earlier, who becomes a pet, a companion, etc. to him throughout the rest of the book. But that feeling, that meeting feels very happenstance, but then you continue to meet these other people in this place, and each of them also have a creature. They are all different creatures. Each of them seems very tailored to the individual, perhaps, but everyone's got a little pet. Everybody's got some little dude that's hanging out with them. And I don't know that I had any particular thoughts about it, but I was curious if you guys had maybe something smarter to say about it, because I feel like it's, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this book that you are supposed to make your own meaning out of it. It's not like Shaun Tan is coming out here and being like, you need to think this about it. But there's intentionality behind the inclusion of them, for sure, because everything in this book is very intentional.
Yeah, I don't know that I had anything deep about it, other than the moment where like he sees one of the creatures and is sees the tail first and is reminded of what the thing that like,
what he left behind.
Kind of stalked his home. The only other thought that I had while reading was like, oh, it's like his Dark Materials.
Yeah, I also the point where the kid is showing him the creature that's in the jug and has a tail similar to the creatures that kind of tormented him. I feel like kind of going off of that, it's hard to concretely figure out exactly what my vibe is on that, but it is kind of also just enhancing the differences between this place and where he came from. Because the origami animal that he makes is like a pretty standard looking bird for his daughter, and there's no other animals shown except for these giant creatures that are kind of terrorizing their home. And to me, it kind of shows not just like a different perspective of like, oh, some of these creatures are like, it's a different way of looking at things, but it also kind of helps to me with like the alienation that he might experience, is like, this place is full of new people and also just a wild menagerie of things that you're gonna have to like also deal with.
In the same vein as that is one of my favorite silly panels, which is our fella sniffing one of the weird looking vegetables with a very dubious expression, like, and very concerned, like, what is this thing?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I think in the story, the main creature, like his little friend, mostly serves as like a companion and another like way of grounding him in the place.
And a way to get him exploring his environment as well, because he kind of follows it around as it pitter-patters around and stuff in some moments.
Yeah, and the nice thing about a little creature companion is they're not going to talk to you in a language you don't speak because they don't speak. So
exactly.
It's something that like is definitely, like Matt said, kind of grounding a little bit.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it can be both grounding and very strange and new.
I mean, those are almost the same thing. Like, there is I don't know. I think a lot about like the effect of summer camp, like both like the like being in a place that is not your typical place and getting used to new routines. And then also about the effect of leaving that space and going back to your usual routines. That's not what this book is about. But I think more, it feels similar to me. And like one of the reasons that something like summer camp or a retreat or a business trip in a new city or something like that can feel interesting or fun is because you, even in those short spans of time, develop these new routines that are unique to you because they are new, and that uniqueness is what's exciting about them, and therefore you doing it over and over again. That's almost to me what like the little creature is here, right? Like he doesn't choose to adopt this, creature as a pet. It just is in his room when he rents this place. But it is almost a like, I now have a responsibility here, or there is this unique new novel aspect of being in this place and having to take care of this creature who's sticking around, is almost like a way of me getting used to this newness. I don't know if any of that makes sense to the listener, but I don't know. Like I once spent like 4 days, like this is not a long time, but it was the longest on a trip of where we were going every other day to a different place. But the longest stretch we spent was 4 nights actually in Cambridge in the UK. And I like over those 4 days got used to a particular walk, right? Got used to going to a particular place for breakfast. I've never again been to Cambridge. Like I don't have any reason to go to Cambridge, but I have a relationship with that place out of that like very short amount of time that feels, I don't know, similar to me to like the first few days of him waking up with this creature and like having to take care of it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my last note here is that I was really touched by the emphasis in this work of, I sort of talked about this a little bit before with the way that like this family becomes to other new immigrants what they needed when they first got here. But like the way that the individual connections we can make shines through the scariness of a wider picture, the way the small things matter. The world is frightening, but people are kind. They are more like you than you realize. That stuff really sticks with me from this.
And that's why I think this book should be taught in schools.
Do you have any other stories from like studying it in school, or did you cover all of sort of your notes from that?
No, we covered pretty much most of what I wanted to talk about, especially the information about the storyboarding was new, because like that was a lot of what I took notes on when I was in college, was the focus on like using the panels to show the passage of time, like with the clouds while he is on the boat.
Wild sequence.
Right? Isn't it?
Just
it's
like,
crazy.
What a choice.
It is such a fun collection of images. And you can kind of see like images in some of the clouds too.
I also love the page where it's just him talking to someone at like during like his immigration process. And it's a whole page of him just making different reactions.
Yeah. And there's like, these focuses on like several panels showing him doing his origami, or the page with the flower like going through all of the different seasons.
Yes, to show the passage of time before the rest of his family arrives.
Yeah,
and
the
it leads
last
up into
flower
that
in there.
big winter spread.
Yeah. And the last flower in there has a little heart in the center.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. So a lot of that is like what I remember focusing on in my college class, because I was taking this at the same time as I was taking a film class in college. So I was like very like a lot of the stuff that I was looking at was like very focused on like scene setting and like using techniques of a particular medium to do what a prose novel would not be able to do or would do differently. So that was a lot of what I focused on.
Yeah, we have a lot of establishing shots in this book as well.
I got in trouble, actually, in my college class for using that term during a comics essay.
Really?
I didn't get in trouble, but I did. My professor was like, don't call it an establishing shot.
Why?
Use this term instead. Because we were talking about comics and I was using film technique terms.
Huh. Do you know what the term is in comics?
I don't remember.
I suppose this is just because...
If I still have the essay that I wrote, like I remember, like it wasn't me getting in trouble. It was just like a note on the draft of my essay. If I still have that essay, if it would be in the box of comics that's in the garage, I will find that for you. But it feels akin to when I was in college. A big thing at the time in my art school was in my animation program was don't say animations with an S on the end, which I roll my eyes at this point. I think yes. I mean, my professor was very cool, but like it was definitely clear that like I was coming at it from a perspective that could use a little bit more nuance. It was not about this book. It was about Matt Fraction's Hawkeye. But I think we covered all of what I kind of remember talking about in college and more.
Nice.
I cannot believe you got to study Matt Fraction's Hawkeye in college.
Right. It was so... I still have all of my paperbacks. I put it on our list of things to potentially do later because I was like, damn, that was good shit.
Yeah.
I did get to study Matt Fraction's Hawkeye in college. It was a pretty cool class.
Another connection between this book and your college experience is that another thing mentioned in this excerpt of article from Shaun Tan is that he found Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud to be a useful reference. And I know that was one of your college textbooks. Yeah.
Sure was.
There you go.
Good textbook. But yeah, that's about all I have for The Arrival. Do you guys have anything else to add?
Just that I had a really good time doing something very, very different.
Yeah.
I love to do things.
I love doing things different. In terms of further reading, Shaun Tan has written and illustrated several other books. His most notable being another graphic novel called The Lost Thing. On his website, I found a really interesting essay that he wrote in 2002 called Picture Books, Who Are They For? It's kind of about like the idea of kind of what we were talking about, where it's like, yes, it's a picture book. It's a bunch of pictures. You assume it's something simple and childish, but it makes you do a lot more critical thinking than you like think about from just kind of looking at the fact that it is a picture book. So definitely recommend reading that essay. I thought it was really interesting. When I was kind of Googling other similar works, I got recommended Day Tripper a lot by Gabrielle Ba and Fabio Moon.
We read that in February for the TWG Comic Club. I say we.
Did you really?
I did not read it.
Okay.
I did not get that one done, but it was a book that we read in the comic club, which is to say, if you're interested in the comic club, come to the Discord.
Come to the Discord and join the comic club. Yeah, a lot of people were recommending this one as well, being similar, I think, stylistically and kind of touching on similar themes I'm very interested in finding, in looking at that. It seemed very interesting. And then this is a work of fiction, but there is like an entire genre that is just nonfiction graphic novels about the experience of immigrants and refugees. It is like a very prolific genre, I would say. And I found a little brief list curated by the Chicago Public Library that we'll link in the show notes if you are interested in like checking out more graphic novels about the immigrant experience. Do you guys have anything else to add recommendations-wise? Matt's already mentioned The Wicked and the Divine, so we'll put that on there.
I promise you, it is nothing like this book. It is absolutely nothing like this book.
You. But yeah, it's this is a very unique book to me in that, like, I don't really think I've read much else like it. So it was very much like, I have no idea what else to recommend. Mm-hmm. If you are in the Discord and you're like, oh, if you liked this, you should read X, Y, or Z, please tell us, because I would love to.
Maybe we'll read it on the show.
Yeah, maybe we will. Please don't forget to support your local library, bookstore, comic shop if you want to go find a copy of this. It's it's an award winner. You should be able to find it fairly easily. And In Sequence is a member of the Worst Garbage podcast network. You can find us at theworstgarbage.online. Panelists, do you have anything to plug today?
I don't think I have anything specific, but you can find my work at youtube.com/@flowstatekrit or matthorton.live. If you want all of the links, you can go there. But yeah, I don't think I have... There's nothing like that I'm like actively putting out at the time this episode comes out.
You can find me on Tumblr or Blue Sky at Humble Goat and see the art that I do, including our podcast cover art at scoutwilkinson.myportfolio.com. I will be getting back to blogging soon. Mark my words. And you can see that on my Ko-fi page, ko-fi.com/humblegoat.
And as always, you can find me plottwist.card.co. Thank you all so much for listening.
If you are reading along with us, almost forgot this. If you're reading along with us, next episode, we will be reading Koboku by Sono Michiru. Come with us for some Old Man Yaoi.
The Old Man Yaoi.
Hell yeah. The Old Man Yaoi. All right. Thank you so much for listening.
Be the person that you needed 2 years ago.
I'm following Matt's lead and I'm just ending it.
I'm trying to give us a button.
I am stopping it.
TWG, the worst garbage, online.